Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning. Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Gavin Courtney.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
And it is a beautiful Thursday morning.
It is another chilly morning in the city.
I'm happy that there's no rain though.
Indeed.
Yeah,
indeed.
I think the forecast was calling for a little bit more, but I was happy to see the sun come out and see a nice sunrise and get, it's almost the weekend started.
Actually, we probably got a little bit more rain than was called for yesterday, but I didn't mind.
Oh yeah, especially when you go to sleep, right?
Especially when you go to sleep.
It was good to fall asleep with the rain last night and wake up with a sunrise this morning.
Yeah, you know, the good thing is we're up.
Yep.
The good thing is we're alive. And for me, today, that is what I'm thankful for.
Yep, and you're just hinting about it because today, of course, if you are watching from abroad, you would especially know this, but if you have family in the States, you'll know that today is the third Thursday in November, which means that it is Thanksgiving, which is, of course, celebrated in the United States, but we have lots and lots of viewers who are watching from abroad, so we want to say happy Thanksgiving to you. And of course, we do. Some people do celebrate it here as well.
You know, there's a bit of controversy behind Thanksgiving. I looked at it yesterday, John, because I only made mention to a friend that my family and I, some of them, would be getting together tonight to have a feast, to have a meal, and a conversation arose about whether or not Belizeans should be celebrating Thanksgiving or whether or not Thanksgiving should be recognized. And in a whole, I know in the U.S., it's a holiday. For us in Belize, we still have to go to work.
Exactly.
So that's one of the arguments, but I think it comes from the origin story per se. So the question is, should Belizeans celebrate Thanksgiving? First and foremost, I think my answer to that is yes. Are there things that we can be thankful for? Are there things that we should be thankful for? I say yes. So what should stop a family, what should stop you at work from getting together around the work kitchen table or at home and having a meal together and saying exactly what it is that you're thankful for?
You know, that's a good point because especially, you know, as you rightly said, there's been a big debate about this and even in recent years, there's been a debate about whether or not even they should follow it in the United States because people, if you know the origin story, or at least the only way that I really knew the origin was based on what I watched on TV growing up, and that's how I kind of knew the story of Thanksgiving, which was which was told to us at the time as being the story of when the Pilgrims landed in what is now the United States. And the Native Americans, assisted them, in a time of famine, and the harvest wasn't good, and they brought together the food, and everybody ate together, and everybody was thankful, and everybody was happy, and that was the story that was, I remember growing up, and of course now that we take a more critical look at history, people wonder whether or not we should celebrate the day in that sort of a context when we know that things were not that smooth, historically speaking. But to your point, I think that what it has grown to be over the years, despite the origins, is it's really a day for families to come together and to eat and to celebrate and to take a moment and really realize what everybody is thankful for and say it out loud and appreciate it. And I think that in that sort of a spirit, it's fine, and there's no reason why people should be prevented from doing that. I mean, every day can be Thanksgiving if you look at it like that. But there's and and to make another comparison, is, you know, some people say the same thing about Valentine's Day, that you shouldn't, that, you know, why
Right.
should we have a special day when every day should be
Love and
Valentine's Day?
Mother's Day as
It's,
well.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so of course it is a foreign holiday, but at the same time, if you want to get together with your, if you want to, you know, be together with your family and you know, what, and I mean, it doesn't, I won't turn down a turkey dinner. So
You see, the thing is, the significance of the origin story applies mainly to the U.S. in that it's not necessarily our history. And you're right in speaking of some of the origin story, and that's what I understand of it. I understand that the Pilgrims, like you said, and the Native Americans, they came together, they had a feast, and there are records that shows that there was 50 years of peace following that. And what followed after that was, of course, the genocides that we hear about in all these stories of Native Americans being massacred. However, a second point for me is that at the root of that first Thanksgiving, that first feast, it was symbolic of a new world and an old world getting together. It was symbolic of different peoples from different backgrounds and different races getting together. So if there's something that Belizeans could pull from that day, that could pull from that first feast, it's the unity aspect. It's you, Gavin, and me from different backgrounds sitting together and sharing a meal and saying what we're thankful for. It's me and my Garifuna brother, me and maybe my Mestizo brother, me and my Mennonite brother, for example, coming together in some sort of a feast tonight or today, and just being thankful for life, being thankful. And you're right, the argument is you could do this any day of the year, any day of the week, and that's right. But to take time out to actually recognize our differences and to at the same time be thankful that we can live in a nation with so many differences and yet we still unite. And like you said, who could turn down a good Thanksgiving dinner, right? Who could turn down a full platter of turkey and ham and
well, I think that that's kind of the reason why people get excited for it here, even more than showing
right.
thanks, right?
Exactly.
Or people, or at least people are thankful for the turkey, right?
And you're the one who does the trending talks.
Yeah.
And one of the trends I see come out of Thanksgiving every year for Belizean is, what is real ham in your turkey
yes.
dinner versus what is it? Fake ham.
Right? Yeah, I know. I see that every year too.
Yeah.
And but you know, we do of course acknowledge that, you know, a big reason why people in Belize celebrate it is because of our diaspora. And you know, it's often said that we might have just as many Belizeans abroad as we do in the country itself.
Right.
And of course, we've had a strong relationship, you know, especially with Belizeans in the U.S. So of course, there's many reasons why people may feel that they have a connection to Thanksgiving, because they do have that sort of a link. But in any event, it is a day to give thanks. So if we are celebrating Thanksgiving with your family, with your loved ones today, whether you're abroad in the States or whether you're here, you know, do take the opportunity to you know, say what you're most thankful for, and we hope that you do have a nice celebration, and we hope that you have a nice dinner.
Before we move on from that topic, let me ask you, John, what is Gavin?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What is it that you are thankful for today?
What am I thankful for? Well, actually, I was thinking about this just as we were speaking, and and I think that, of course, my mind automatically goes to the pandemic when I think about, you know, just present day circumstances. And I'm thankful that I'm thankful for life. Thankful to be here. I'm thankful that I've not, to my knowledge, contracted COVID-19. And, you know, to that end, gotten a serious case. I'm very thankful that nobody close to me has contracted a serious case or has, you know, lost their life. So, you know, just for life and health, I think it's definitely timely especially in a pandemic, to take pause and give thanks for that.
Yeah.
What about you?
Without sounding too political, I'm thankful for the wherewithal of our general Belizean populace, the hopes that we have as a nation to see better, to do better, to be better. I am not lost to the hope and to the will that we have as a country to be a beacon of light in the region and internationally. And we continue to see that happen by the way of Miss Earth Belize. We are seeing we are seeing artists being recognized internationally. We're seeing where our environment is being recognized internationally. We're seeing where investments are being recognized internationally. And so that's what I'm thankful for today, Belizeans, and our will to rise from the ashes like the phoenix.
And you know what? I'm thankful for that too. And I think that's a great segue to get into some morning motivation.
Definitely.
And get into our eye opener, which of course is brought to you by dailyohm.com. And our eye opener for this morning goes something like this. Our gratitude deepens when we begin to be thankful for being alive and living the life that we are living. Often, when we practice being thankful, we go through the process of counting our blessings, acknowledging the wonderful people, things, and places that make up our reality. While it is fine to be grateful for the good fortune we have accumulated, true thankfulness stems from a powerful comprehension of the gift of simply being alive. And when we feel it regardless of our circumstances. In this deep state of gratitude, we recognize the purity of the experience of being in and of itself, and our thankfulness is part and parcel of our awareness that we are one with this great mystery that is life. We do not have to wait to be shaken to experience this state of being truly thankful for our lives. Tuning into our breath and making an effort to be fully present for a set period of time each day can do wonders for our ability to connect with true gratitude. We can also awaken ourselves with the intention to be more aware of the unconditional generosity of the life force that flows through us regardless of our circumstances.
That's good. I love that because it brings the conversation that we were having earlier to some sort of full circle. I have a practice whereby if I'm having a bad day, and I'm guilty of not always putting it into practice, but if I'm having a really, really bad day, Gavin, I sit at my desk or I find a quiet area and I spend at least a minute or two and I close my eyes and I think to myself, can I list or name one thing in this very moment that I'm thankful for? One or two things, and I don't have to say it out loud. I just say it in my mind. And oftentimes, it does wonders to just break down all those stress, because then I realize in that moment that there are positive things happening in my life. And it's that true sense of gratitude that really does a lot to change our perspective in times of hardship.
No, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And that's when I started out by saying, I was thankful for life and health, when you asked me. So the eye opener kind of feeds into basically exactly what I was talking about. And I do the same thing when moments get stressful or whatever. And I've spoken, about it on the show, with Marlene and stuff all the time that I do yoga and stuff. And one of the first things which you learn, which the eye opener speaks to, is to take a moment and to tune into your breath. So when you take that minute, try to clear your mind and maybe just focus on your breathing. And you realize that whatever stressful situation you're in, you can approach it with a much clearer and calmer head once you do take that moment to de-stress. Sometimes, you think, or at least what I like to do is when I get into that moment, the first thing I do, focus on the breathing, and then I do what you call like the body scan. Because sometimes, when you're stressed, you might feel like your stomach or you might be sweating or your heart might be pounding or whatever. So you take account of what's going on. Then you try to calm yourself down and then think, and then when you're finally in that clear space, then you can really tackle the problem. But I also find that when you find that clarity, it's there is a moment of gratitude because you think, okay, I'm okay now. And, you can take that further step and try and say, well, I'm thankful for this, or I'm grateful for this, and then you move on. Because, even if it's an unrelated thing, sometimes just that boost of confidence can definitely help you.
Indeed. Well, it was a great conversation in that regard, and I'm thankful for that.
Yep, for sure. And another thing, we also spoke about how we were thankful for the good morning, the good weather this morning.
Yeah.
And so we are going to be getting into our weather forecast. And the weather forecast this morning is brought to you by UNO, Belize, and
Uno.
Uno, yeah.
You just spelled it out.
Is brought to you by Uno Belize.
We are waiting for you to jingle all the way with Uno. Get one coupon for every purchase of Belize $25 in Uno fuels, per quart of Uno lubricants, or 2 coupons per gallon. And just like that, you get a chance to win lots and lots of prizes.
And so we'll be playing the...
And no, I think that was our weather, which was brought to you by our forecaster, Catherine Cumberbatch. So we want to say thank you to her and to Uno for giving us our weather update for this morning.
Yeah.
And it seems that there might be a little bit of light rain, but we are going to be seeing only isolated shower activity. So hopefully it won't be too heavy as we head into the weekend.
It's no surprise, Gavin, because we are coming to the end of the hurricane season, as you know, June to November, and we're heading into that December season, which is a bit more moist, a more moist season, and so this is as expected for us as Belizeans.
No, absolutely.
A north to northeasterly air flow prevailing. The 24-hour forecast for Belize and her coastal waters calls for sunny skies today with a few cloudy spells, along with isolated showers or light rain developing offshore. High temperatures today will range from 85 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast to 88 inland and 72 in the hills. Tonight, skies will be partly cloudy and shower activity will be isolated. Low temperatures will drop to 72 along coastal areas to 66 inland and 63 in the higher elevations. The winds will blow from the north to northeast at 5 to 15 knots and the sea state will be choppy. A low tide comes up at 8:33 this morning, followed by a high at 2:56 in the afternoon. Another low occurs at 7:22 tonight and a high at 1:35 tomorrow morning. The sun will rise at 3 minutes past 6 this morning and set at 15 minutes past 5 in the evening. The moon set at 8 minutes past 11 this morning and comes up again at 10:36 tonight. The outlook for Friday is for fair weather with only isolated showers, then a slight increase in showers on Friday night. In the sargassum forecast, the impacts from sargassum mats on our beaches will remain minimal during the next few days. In the tropical weather outlook for the North Atlantic, the Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico, tropical cyclone formation is unexpected during the next 48 hours. And that's your morning forecast that was prepared here at the National Meteorological Service.
That was our weather, Gavin, but we do have a jam-packed, exciting show lined up this morning.
Yes, we do. So thanks again to Catherine Cumberbatch for giving us that update. But for this morning, we've got a lot of great conversations. And our first conversation is going to be centered around a very important topic. We are going to be looking at the issue of domestic violence. As you know, November 25th begins the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And so we're going to be having a panel discussion for our first conversation, speaking about the issue of domestic violence, the response thereto, and the big question of why it is for some persons to leave their partners when they are in abusive relationships. So that's going to be our first conversation for this morning.
In our second conversation, we'll be looking at another one of those things that Belizeans recognize. A lot of Belizeans, especially the businesses, in line with Thanksgiving or around that Thanksgiving season, it has to do with sales and blowout sales and Black Friday sales. And so we'll be having a rep in from Caribbean Tires who'll be telling us about their Gold Rush sale. coming up this weekend, so you don't want to miss that.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned, I was like, that's how you could tell that we're not in the States, because we only just mentioned Black Friday.
Indeed.
Because I'm sure that some of the people watching abroad are wondering if they're talking about Thanksgiving and they haven't said of Black Friday yet, which is almost a given. But you know, that was just a little aside. But our third conversation for this morning, we're going to be getting an update from Beeswood Studios, and they're going to be talking all about a new series that is created and stars Belizean actors. So we're going to be getting an update from the director and one of the actors from the production in our final conversation for this morning. Yep.
All right. Well.
But with that, we are going to be taking a short break. But before we do have a birthday shout out to give this morning. So who are we wishing happy birthday to this morning, Paul?
Well, we want to say happy birthday to Amaris Sylvester, to celebrating her 18th birthday. Amaris, from all of us here at Channel 5 and Open Your Eyes, we want to say happy birthday to you. Be thankful today for life, for being able to see your 18th birthday.
All right, so happy birthday once again, Amaris. We hope you have a great day, but we are going to be taking a short break, and when we come back, we are going to be having our panel discussion on domestic violence. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made, then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average of about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Vaccines protect you and they protect me. Getting vaccinated is one of the most important things you can do to keep yourself and your family safe and healthy. Once enough people are immunized, opportunities for an outbreak of disease becomes very low. And if we all choose to get vaccinated, we contribute in getting back to spending quality time with our loved ones in a safe way.
Jingle all the way! This holidays, get one coupon for every purchase of 25 Belize dollars in Una fuels, per quart of Una lubricants, or 2 coupons per gallon. Jingle all the way with Uno, a brand committed with the future.
Feels like forever you've been burning for me. I'm here now. Oh, it's a fire indeed. 'Cause
It's almost time when we change the drums for the Christmas bells. And you know that when Christmas season starts, we celebrate big at Channel 5. How big? It's our 30th anniversary. That's right, the Big 3-0. And this year's Gimme 5 will be packed with fun, entertainment, and big giveaways. The show starts on December 6th and runs through December 10th, starting at 7:30 p.m. nightly. Coupons are now available for 25 cents each on our Channel 5 website and at our studios on Coney Drive. Fill out your coupons and bring them into our compound. And remember, starting December 6th, when the phone rings, don't say hello, say, "Gimme 5."
And we're back, and we are just getting our first conversation for this morning started, and we are continuing our discussion on the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And this morning, we're focusing on domestic violence, and we're having a panel discussion speaking all about that and the reasons why perhaps partners do not leave abusive relationships. And speaking to us about the topic this morning, we have with us, joining us via Zoom, we have Ashley Longsworth, who is a marriage and family therapist. We also have Darlene Vernon, who is a family and divorce attorney, as well as Assistant Superintendent of Police, Martha Rees, who is the officer commanding the Domestic Violence Unit. Good morning.
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 Good morning.
And thank you for joining us, discussing a very important topic today. And just so we can just kickstart the conversation talking about, Ashley, perhaps you can tell us what are just some of the features of an abusive relationship. What are we talking about when we speak about abuse in the home or gender-based violence at that?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was very excited about talking about this topic because I feel like as a society we already have a narrative when it comes to speaking about women who remain in relationships with an abusive partner, specifically in that accusatory tone or placing blame. And so knowing what these can be and the fears that they're feeling is very important, right? So there are the ones that we know about. There's physical abuse. This we hear often. This is where you would hear that someone gets hit, punched, slapped, or there's bodily harm. There's also the sexual abuse, where this is unwanted sexual touch. This may be forcing you to sleep with other people. This may be force you not being able to use contraceptive to get a forced pregnancy. Then there's that emotional and psychological abuse that people don't tend to recognize as much because it's very common within our culture to talk in a way that is derogatory or to degrade or to jokingly say something in a mean way. But this could also be like manipulation, blaming language, saying things that are in a way that gaslight someone, so that's intentionally confusing someone to think that they haven't experienced what they've experienced or their reality isn't true. And then there is one that I don't hear people talk about often, which is financial abuse, right? This is where your partner withholds money, withholds funds, does not allow you to work, does not allow you to leave the house so that you can be financially independent. And so this requires the person that is being abused to stay at home. And now they have to be with their spouse, or they fear that they cannot leave or don't have the confidence to leave.
Okay. Just allow me to bring attorney Darlene Vernon into the conversation. When dealing with divorce matters, how many of those cases, if you can, are rooted in some sort of domestic violence issue or gender-based violence issue?
Honestly, most of them are. Before we had the introduction of the divorces by consent, as I had indicated on the last session, it was mostly fault-based, and so it had to be on the basis of cruelty or adultery, and we know stemming from adultery are some instances of cruelty, just as what the other the party indicated. It could be emotional, psychological, physical sort of abuse that the person has entailed, and so we have to list that. So majority of the divorces would have had some aspect of domestic violence in there before the consent came about, or before the 3-year separation, where you could just wait it out and then you can get your divorce.
And you know, it's interesting to think that, well, once somebody or a woman is in a relationship and they recognize the abuse and they want a way out, then either, well, or both actually, you know, an attorney or the police are usually like the first responders, if you will.
Yeah.
More often than not the police. And so, as Assistant Superintendent, perhaps you can tell us a bit about that type of intervention and what happens when a call to the police is made and somebody reports, I have been abused, or I've witnessed somebody abused. What is sort of the process?
Okay, good morning. And I like that you said a way out. That is the words for our hotlines. 0800, a way out. For both our hotlines. That is SMART and the BTL line, because we know we have SMART users and we have BTL users. And those are some of the hotlines beside the 911 that we receive calls on. And when we receive a call, we respond most oftentimes on the ground first. And if there's a need for us to take the situation to the station, then we do that, because most oftentimes, sometimes they don't really want the police to intervene to that level. They would just want the abuse to stop.
Meaning they don't want to have the person arrested and
charged. Yes, they just want the abuse to stop. So we would respond on the ground. If it is that they come to the station, and we take them through the process, right? Making of the complaint, and which is the formal complaint has to be a written complaint that they sign, that they place their signature on. So that is the first step that we would do. But it doesn't matter if it's a call from them or from a third person, our first job is to respond.
To put things a bit into context, we have so many bodies dealing with this issue in terms of addressing it. How serious of an issue is this in Belize? What does the data show in terms of households and families that may be experiencing this form of violence?
Well, for this year, so far, you'd say up to September, we had, from the Crime Observatory, statistics of 573 complaints.
573
complaints, and that is lower than last year.
Wow.
Normally it's very high. We get a lot of complaints. But that is countrywide. But like, as you can see, if you have 573, that's almost 2 per day. Right? So we do get a large volume of calls, and the more we create awareness, the more we get calls.
And these are calls that comes to your office at the police department?
Yes, sometimes through the 911 or sometimes through the hotlines.
There's this conception that women or victims, we call them victims, if that's okay, are oftentimes reluctant to make reports. What is unique about these cases in terms of their willingness and what prompts them to decide to make these reports?
Well, it's not, well, from the time they call, they're making the report, right? So most oftentimes it's not the reluctance to make the report, it's the reluctance to proceed with the matter where court is concerned. We're getting the orders are concerned. Most oftentimes, as I said, they just want the abuse to stop. And if calling the police and getting the police involved at the inception, they believe that that would be like a scare tactic for them to, you know, for them to understand that the abuser to understand that the police is involved, and we do have that avenue to take.
And Ashley, perhaps you can shed a light on you know, on the details of the psychology behind that, and why it is that, you know, it's hard for you know, a woman to eventually fully leave and break off a relationship, because we've seen that perhaps maybe, and you know, we've discussed on the show as well, that one of the things that often happens is that they may even go, they may leave the house, but then they eventually come back. So, you know, breaking that pattern and that cycle, why is that so difficult?
And you said it right there, right? You're saying it's a pattern and it's a cycle. You're asking a woman who may have known abuse in some sort of way all her life to make a shift into something new and completely change. And that can be very difficult, especially if they make that first step to walk out and make a report, to start a report. That can be very nerve-wracking, right? You're asking them to come out of a very fearful situation and then say something about it. It's not only being fearful when you're in the relationship, but it's also the fear of what happens when you leave the relationship, right? So some of the reasons, let's talk about when they're in the relationship. So sometimes first, women don't even recognize that they're being abused, right? Yes, we know about physical abuse, but sometimes there is that emotional abuse. Maybe they grew up in a household where it was very normal, that kind of toxic behavior, and it was modeled, right? Where maybe a mother or a father or whoever else was in the household spoke very harsh to them, or maybe they even saw that physical violence in the home. Moving then into a romantic relationship in adulthood, it might be very difficult to see that as not normal or as bad as it may seem, right? They might not know the severity of what the abuse is until somebody tells them. Also, they may believe that what they're going through is not abuse because of that very state. So then they won't come out and say anything. Other reasons may be that their family or their friends have discouraged them from saying anything. You know, we have a lot of cultures here in Belize that would discourage their daughter or their sister to make a formal report about abuse that's happening, that it's something that should be covered. And this happens a lot with children, but then it carries on into adulthood, right? If no abuse was reported in childhood, it may not be reported again in adulthood. And then it's also, women are in families, right? They may have children. It's more difficult to leave when you have children, especially if you believe that somehow your children are safer within the household. If you do not have a job, or if you feel that you're fully dependent on your partner, you won't know how to fulfill the needs of your children. You may feel as though you don't have the skills. You may feel as though you don't have the ability, right? We're not just talking about thinking about these things. We're talking about crippling anxiety and fear that you won't make it. When you go out there, you will fail. That when you go out there, this person will find you and hurt you or kill you, right? This is crippling fear. This isn't just, I want to stay in this sort of relationship, right? And then they may not have the family support or may not have the community support, or aware of it, I should say, because there are agencies, there are people that can be called. There is the police, there is the women's department. But a lot of times women are fearful of how to even make that step, right? Or how to leave their home in order to reach to these places or to have a phone to call out. there is anxiety when it comes to that. And when they make a report, right, like what was mentioned, they want it to be like that tactic in order for their abuser to stop, or something to help the abuse to stop. And they don't know what to do after that to heal, what to do after that, what's the process after making it stop. And we don't talk much about that cycle of, yes, it may feel like even though you want to leave, you end up going back because you're not sure what to do next. And I think that's where more awareness needs to be, what to do next, right?
So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that, as Ashley was listing some of the examples, I saw both of you shaking your heads, that meaning that you've come across, it before, in different forms. And Darlene, I guess, let's say somebody does come to you and they say, I'm in an abusive relationship and I want to leave for good. They may be, let's say they're married. What is the advice that you give to give somebody a way out, as they say, or what's available,
Okay, well, normally I would listen to what brought them to the office in the first instance. Usually it stems from a police report with the DV, you being involved. So we already know there's some severity to it. So under those circumstances, I would recommend we go to the court and we get a restraining order. Along with the restraining order, there are additional orders that the court can grant, such as an occupation order, where they actually take that person out of the household and allow you, the victim, to remain in that household for a period of time. And that person is still liable for paying the mortgage, still liable for paying the rent, still liable for paying contribution towards the family maintenance and so forth. And so we start at that. And I do want to say, because most people are of the belief that they cannot afford an attorney for family matters and when it comes to domestic violence. When it comes to family matters, most attorneys are very lenient with their fees because we understand in most situations the persons are usually dependent on the other party. They don't have the financial means, and so we lower our fees significantly in order to represent these persons. Like we would be charging less than a third of what we would normally charge if we were supposed to go to the Supreme Court or any other court. So it is an avenue accessible to them. We are able to work with them in terms of plans, but we understand the severity of the danger that they're in, the children are in, and so we go and we assist them. And I have to say that I'm very happy as well with the route that the family court is now taking, because in addition to all the different types of abuse which has been indicated already, you have where now they try to use the courts as a way of frustrating these very victims. So they would come and they'd make an application for custody of the children, knowing that we just got a restraining order against them. Then when that is thrown out, 2 days later, they're going to bring back the person to the court again, knowing that it jeopardizes their job, knowing that they're losing income. And so they're creating this fear through the tactic and using the court system. So the court has recognized that, and it's saying, listen, if a magistrate has dealt with a matter, let's say with you, and 3 days later you come back and want to bring, that magistrate will be assigned to your matter again because she already knows the history, and she's going to say, you know what, I'm not going to allow you to use this as a tactic against this person. We just got a restraining order against you. The restraining order stipulated that you were not only physically abusive, but financially, emotionally, psychologically, all the other aspects that's listed. And so how is it then that you can now come and say that you're the best parent to take care of the children? And so that is thrown out. And so there are consequences as well if you bring it under the Domestic Violence Act, where you can actually seek costs against them. So that we say, oh, you want to bring back this victim to the court, you need to pay this. And so there are deterrents that are there. And so we try to show that, and we want to make it known that, listen, you can approach an attorney. An attorney will work with you because we understand it. And so that's what we're there for as well.
Does your argument before the courts, is it hinged also on the evidence and data collected in partnership with the police department and the DVU?
Yes, if there's a police report that was made, we're definitely tendering that before the court. Normally when the DVU and the others become involved, they would have pictures and other statements evidencing what they themselves had seen, and we actually can, if it is requested by the magistrate, have someone from there come and testify as to what, but normally it's stipulated in the police report. And then the party, the victim, would also have their proof. This is what he did to me. They take their own photos, or they would have proof of text messages and so forth that he sent to them. When you go to the family court, the rules are more relaxed because we understand it's more from an emotional aspect. So we don't go straight to the law and says the law says XYZ. You relax it a bit. It's still there, but it's relaxed a bit in terms of the magistrate hearing what has happened and whether or not indeed these orders that you're seeking, whether it's a restraining order, whether it's an occupation order, some sort of financial relief can be granted. Then they listen to what you have and the magistrate makes the relevant decision.
I wanted to ask, what type of report prompts an investigation into a matter? What level of report has to be made?
Well, it doesn't matter. We listen to all complaints. One of the most that we've had are physical abuse. When it comes to psychological and emotional, you would say the damaging of property, because it is a crime, but it also contributes to emotional and psychological abuse. Verbal abuse, we get a lot of that as well. And all of these, when it comes to arresting and charge, we know those are crimes, damage to property. When it comes to physical abuse, you have common assault, you have harm, you have wounding, up to attempt murder, right? So those are the types of report, and then we would investigate the matter as any other police report that would be given.
No, I know that. I asked that because there's this thing referred to as future reference report.
Yes.
A report where somebody can come in and say, I don't want to necessarily take action at this time, but I want to put it on record that this is what I'm going through. How do you then approach a situation like that may show some signs of danger to the victim, but that person also is displaying some sort of reluctance?
Yes. When we have matters like that with future reference, what we do, we would still go through the process. If there's injury, we will still issue the form. We will still encourage them to go to the doctor, because, mind you, if we have something in black and white and that person has signed to that, we arrest and charge, right? If they want future reference, then they don't give anything in writing. But then we would still go through the process. If there's damage, we would tell them, still have us, the scenes of crime, go and photograph these items, because you may not want something done now, but we don't know if later you will still proceed, right? Because you still have a time limit and you can still act on it. So we would still go through the full process. If there's physical injury or harm, we would issue you with the medical legal form, and we would ensure that you go to the doctor. We would still photograph the scene, and if you don't want anything to be done now, because sometimes they just want us to speak to the person, they just want mediation, and then we would do that. And then we would also give them advice, and that's where we turn them over either to an attorney if they're legally married. Sometimes even in common law union, we would advise them to seek an attorney to tell them what is in place for them, and we would assist them with women's department. We would advise them to go to women's department, and we would tell them what is in place at the family court for them.
Gavin, I also wanted to add to what Ms. Reese said, is that most people believe that it's only when you're in a common law or that you're married that you have the right to approach the court for. No, you can be visiting, correct. If you have a visiting relationship with the other person and that person is engaging in violence, domestic violence against you, and remember, domestic violence means not only physical, then you as well have the right to approach the court for one of the remedies that they can give. So you don't have to live with the person, you don't have to be in an established common law relationship. If it is that you had some sort of relationship, and especially if that bore a child, then you definitely have the right to seek recourse, whether through the police, through counseling, or of course through the court system, which we assist them with.
And in terms of following up or enforcement of, if let's say if somebody does, let's say somebody makes a complaint and they follow through and they end up getting a restraining order or what it is. How is it that let's say from the police department, and Darlene, you can jump in as well, that the follow through is there, so that somebody says, oh well, I got a restraining order, but he's still coming by my house, or if you get reports like that, or is there any monitoring?
Yes.
Yeah, how does that work, so that people can feel confident that if they follow through, that they will get the result that they want?
Well, yes, definitely. We've had a lot of that, of persons breaching the order. And they come in and we arrest and charge because that is mandatory. Because like I always tell people, when the court issues an order, it's not only based on their complaint, but if the court sees it fit to issue an order, then it's an order from the court. And so they're not only breaching the complaint that you made, but they're disrespecting the court as well, because the court put an order in place.
All right. And there are some severe consequences that flows from breaching those orders. You have a fine that can be granted by the court against that individual. That can be, I think, from 5,000 minimum to 15,000, and you can get imprisoned as well. So there are severe consequences that flow. But of course, the victim would have to have some sort of proof to indicate that the person is indeed breaching the order. Because for you just to say, well, he came by the house and then there's nothing, so it's a matter of then the police, the police has to investigate and then determine. So you might not get that speedy remedy that you need. But if you see this person coming and there's a restraining order that says he's not supposed to be at your place of work, or your place at home and so forth, or messaging you and contacting you, and you have all of those, that's all the proof you need, and the police step in, and or we go to court for breach of the order, and then we ask the court to then implement the remedies that are available there.
And that's a lot of it, and that would be mainly, well, that speaks to a lot on the civil side, but where like the criminal law is concerned, if the abuse amounts to actual crimes that you touched on earlier, let's say if it is like serious abuse or even damage to property, does the police department also seriously prosecute those crimes like that?
Yes, as well. Those are handled in the magistrate court, because the only types of matters that go to the family court is when they breach the orders. But if we have anything like wounding or harm or damage to property, in the Domestic Violence Act, there's a form that we have to fill out. So when we make an arrest for harm or wounding, grievous harm, we would fill out that form and we would place that form on it so that the magistrate at the magistrate court has an idea that this matter is as a result of a domestic.
I think that with all these things in place, these mechanisms in place, we still see on a year-to-year basis where domestic violence incidents escalate into fatalities. And that's, we reported on one just earlier this week, very tragic situation out there in San Ignacio. If we could bring back our counselor into the conversation a bit, just to speak on whether these extreme incidents of fatalities as it relates to domestic violence, if you find that they are most of the times preceded by smaller acts of violence.
Most definitely, right? A lot of the abusive relationships that we see now or that are being reported may not have started the way that it is now at the escalation point, right? You may have met someone and it started out as a sweet relationship, a nice relationship. You feel like you're with someone that treats you well. And then it starts out very small, maybe a few manipulation tricks or maybe discounting the things that you say. And then it starts to lead into, you make me angry and so I hit you, or you did something to me so I did this to you. And then now there becomes a power dynamic and there is control in there. And then oftentimes women are kind of in these relationships and not sure how it got to where it is, and men then, or I want to say the other partner, would continue to escalate in the type of behaviors that they do, because abuse doesn't get smaller, it grows, right? In the types of things that you would use. So if they once used to just shout, they might now shout and try to use physical abuse. Or if they wanted, maybe they only did physical abuse, but now they don't want their person to leave the house, they will lock them in the house, right? So it escalates. And so these fatal incidents usually occur after small little signs. And so there can be signs, right? But like I said earlier, sometimes it's not recognizable by the person, because when you're in it, especially if you feel that you're in a relationship where you are experiencing some type of love and care in the way that you perceive it, it is hard to recognize what built up to that stage of a fatal incident. And so even if people are telling you about it or saying that, you know, your relationship isn't that great, it's hard, but most, or not most, I want to say there are some women that don't see it until then, and then these accidents happen or these incidents happen, or even if they know about it, right? Because like I said, these things can happen even after the relationship has ended, even after the woman has left, even after there has been a report, right? They cannot control the actions of an abuser. Abusers will still come back even if they're in a different relationship, right?
I know that in this case, in speaking with the family of the deceased, we learned that they knew little to nothing about the man. That came as a surprise to me. It appears as if they were in a relationship for a couple months, and the family was unaware of who this man is, his type of behavior. It sounded to me as if she did not feel safe to share what she was experiencing, and so she isolated herself and her daughter from any sort of outside influence or outside contact, whether it be family or whatsoever. What goes through an individual's mind when they think like that?
You have to think about the stigma that they may feel, you know. Think about a relationship that you are in or you may have been in, where you may have an argument with a partner. You might not share every detail of that argument with a family or a friend because you don't want them in between, right? And sometimes we know that we're in a relationship that may not be so great, that if we mention some of the things that are happening, that our family or our friends might say, hey, I don't think that you're with someone great, right? And alongside the manipulation of the person, you might feel like you have to keep it secret because you're just getting to know this person. You don't really know, he might change, he might be different, so it doesn't make sense to get anybody involved. And then if he's also saying, hey, don't tell anybody, we don't need to share what we're doing, you don't need to tell anybody what our relationship is like, then they won't share, right? Not only in the fear of shame, but then also feeling as though that they can trust the person that they're with. And it's really sad because then in that isolation, they have no one to give them a different perspective in what they're going through.
I do want to say though, because I don't want everyone to think that it's only women who are abused, because I've had instances where men come to us for actually getting restraining order and so forth, you know, especially when relationships have ended and, you know, the other partner refuses to let go of that relationship, and what stems and flows from it going to the workplace, damaging property. So I don't want everyone to think that it's only females. It happens to the men as well, but it's just known that females are more willing to come forward and seek remedies as opposed to the men. So I just wanted to add that.
Because of the stigma,
and especially the stigma.
A man doesn't want to go out there and say, hey, I'm being abused by my partner. I'm a man. And it might minimize my masculinity if I do so, but
But we
men
applaud.
can also come in and make reports,
yes.
correct?
Yes, in our statistics, of course, 83% are women, but 17% we have complaints from men as well. And I wanted to say, to add to what the counselor was saying, when it comes to reporting, we might see some of these incidents escalate to murder, and you would be surprised that those persons had never accessed the police for assistance. Like she said, you know, they want to keep it private and they don't identify it as abuse, right? So sometimes it's surprising that we would have never had a complaint from them.
Very relevant.
And do you also, when somebody comes to you, or even the police department, do you also direct persons to other, let's say, resources where they may get support? Let's say if they if they leave a relationship, perhaps they may need counseling for or you know, other services, just to, you know, get them on their feet and get them in a mental state that would be, you know, ready to move on with their lives. Is that also some discussions that you have?
Yes, actually, it's very important. I was just telling from the DBU when we were having our initial conversation that even as attorneys, sometimes we end up being counselors and therapists and so forth, because you have to listen and then you give the legal standpoint, but you have to be able to, you know, be able to be on the same level that they're trying. So we always recommend that they seek counseling, because indeed, as the counselor said, sometimes they don't know how to move on, especially if it's a long-lasting relationship that they were in, and then it has come to such an abrupt end with such significant violence, then they don't know how to move on. So we always recommend counseling, and so we would refer them to the family court. They have a list of counselors that they can go. And I love that the family court too, sometimes they would indicate that let's try counseling first before we go to all these other remedies, because sometimes it's not as significant. Remember, sometimes another party may not realize that indeed he's doing these things that's affecting the other individual. So even though they may retain us and we go to court thinking, yes, we're ready to battle and get this restraining order and get that, the magistrate will indicate, well, you know, counsel, would you and your client be willing to have them go to counseling and see? And so sometimes we would go and have a little session, just an initial session with them, because the counseling will be on their own, to see if maybe it's something that can be agreeable, to see what their mannerism would be towards each other, and if it's something that would help. And if we see that they're actually willing, both of them, to go and do that, then we do that, especially where children are involved, because at the end of the day, they still have to co-parent one way or the other as it relates to those children. So definitely we would recommend counseling and advise them to go that avenue where possible.
Yes, and if I can jump in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, just
go ahead. I just wanted to mention, when it comes to the counseling part, if there is repeated abuse happening, if this is like character traits of a person and you're asking them to come together in counseling, it is not safe and it's not useful. But if you're having a couple that has had arguments before and they both have done some sort of physical abuse in some instant, maybe a conversation got escalated and they both hit each other and this is a one-time incident, it may be where they can come together. But if it is something where it's being repeated in the relationship, counseling is not useful and it will bring more harm to the victim in the situation.
Okay, I was just going to say that that is one of the avenues that we take as well. In Belize City, it's unfortunate that we don't have this service countrywide, but in Belize City, and we've used it also for the district, we have an in-house counselor with us right at our office. Of course, she has her own office space and everything is private, but we do have an in-house counselor, and we have had many of the persons that have visited our unit access that service.
I wanted to ask about, we talked about a lot of fears that women face, even men, in terms of making the reluctance to make reports. And one of those fears might be the level, or at least perceived level, of influence that the perpetrator has in terms of influence in society. Might be a ranking police officer per se that is being reported or complained against. It may be a government official, a high-ranking government official that is being reported against. And there is this notion, there's this perception that if I go and make a report to the police department
That none will
about
be
a
done.
high-ranking police officer or about a government official that I'm in a relationship with, that nothing will be done, that will be swept under the rugs, and at the end of the day, I will get no justice. In fact, I may be victimized even further.
And I would say, yes, that is understood. But for us, it doesn't matter who the person is. But like I always said, when it comes to complaint, we will investigate it. We will speak to the persons. But when it comes to making, I'm saying, a complaint that someone has to be dealt with, that the matter has to go through the court, that it definitely has to be in black and white. And your signature has to be on it. And that is a reluctance sometimes, right? And when it comes to also retraction, they would give it in the first instance and before something can be done, because we have to carry out an investigation. Not because you make this report now, the arrest will be made the instant after, right? We have to confirm certain things and we have to do an investigation, and sometimes before the investigation is completed, that person is back. And we often ask, of course we often ask, and we always try to find out as well if there was some kind of threat for that person to retract. And when that is done, then, but if those persons insist that something is done, I mean, we make our arrest.
No, but you made a valid point, because especially for us as attorneys, where we've already gotten an order and that person has breached it, and she's saying multiple times, I've called the police, no one shows up, or if they show up, all they do is to talk to him, and it's more than once, and why is he getting preferential treatment? And I mean, we're humans, especially if the person is well known, could be a colleague, and so it happens. So we don't explain to the victim that, expect that. We say, okay, if that set of police officers, they're having a close relationship with him, we go to another source of a police officer. And that's what I like about the police now, that they're alternating in terms of the different, they'll bring from out district, so that you're not familiar with everyone in the city. So you bring in different people. So we go to a different set of police officers and say, listen, we're not getting any remedy at all with this set of police officers. We need you guys to intervene. I've had one where a client of mine multiple times kept calling police, and because this guy was well known with the officers, she wasn't getting remedy. So I called and I said, we need different officers, and that's how we were able to move. Because I mean, at the end of the day, we're all humans. Some will form some sort of attachment or relationship, but there are always remedies around it. So don't think then that you just have to sit back and accept it. There is some sort of remedy that's available.
And as we are running out of time a little bit, but I did want to ask something which you touched lightly on a little bit earlier. And it's a little bit more of a complicated situation, but it's let's say third parties who may want to make reports. Let's say my neighbor, and I'm witnessing, I witness physical abuse every day, or I am concerned, or I am concerned that there's children involved, and whoever is abusing these children, and I'm witnessing and I'm hearing it every day. Is there any recourse for them to take to intervene, or for the police to intervene in those sorts of circumstances?
Yes. Well, like I said, we have 2 hotlines, and we also have a cell phone that they can text into. So it's totally anonymous. We have, for the BTL users, the hotline is 0800-292-9688. And for the smart users, we have 0800-280-9688. The cell phone is a smartphone, but I think if you're a BTL user, you'll just have to pay for that. It's 672-7628. And even if it's a third party, you can call. The police will engage. The drawback from that is sometimes when we do approach, they would say we did not call the police or anything. But if we see any signs of injury, or if there's any damage that we can visually see, we try to make attempts how we can reach that person. Because then sometimes they're fearful because the partner is there, and we try to find avenues as to how maybe they can get a phone number for her, or maybe when she's separated from them from there, how we can reach out to her and see if indeed that we can do something to help, right? So those are the avenues that we would take.
From the legal standpoint, it's a bit difficult because the act tells you who are the persons who can apply. Yes, ex-spouses can apply, members of the household, and if it's violence being committed against a minor, then an adult can then bring it on behalf of that child. But then for a third party itself to come who has no direct, then it's a bit difficult. So we try to use them as witnesses, but rightfully, as Ms. Reed said, the problem is that sometimes they say, you know, we don't want to get involved to that extent. We don't want him to then turn around and try to cause harm to us. And so what we try to do is that if there are any documentary proof that can be used, then at least for the benefit of cross-examination, I can put to him certain scenarios that had occurred, and then those would coincide with maybe pictures, with maybe police reports that were made where they're not willing to come forward. But I wouldn't say just sit back even if you're a third party, because you may prevent someone from getting seriously injured or even dying. So please come forward and assist your neighbor, your friend, your family.
Let me throw one final question out there, and I'll ask Ashley. In the event that a person is unwilling to make any reports to the police, is unwilling to seek out a lawyer or even a counselor for whatever fears that may be that they may have, how can families or friends that are aware of the situation or may have suspicions, how can they offer support?
Yeah, so if, all right, you may have, there are actually some women that do have great family support, right? Where they would tell them, you know, you're in a relationship that you shouldn't be, but then, you know, she's kind of stuck in that relationship because she has been in there for years, or, you know, she feels some attachment to this person. Be a listening ear, first of all. Do not blame them for staying, right? You can help them or show them ways in which they can leave this relationship, but do not blame them for staying. I think one of the first steps is trying to understand why they're there more than blaming them for the situation that they're in, right? Understand what makes them want to be in this relationship. What are they looking for? What is it that they feel like they need from this person? Share resources all the time about, you know, the local agencies that are around. Know that they have a safe space. Remind them that they have a safe space, that if they ever do make that decision to leave, that they can come to you. Offer financial support, offer a place to stay, right? These are the things that you can do if the person, your friend, your family member is not ready to make a formal report or doesn't want to seek anybody else outside, right? They're already doing a big part by making you aware of the situation that's happening.
Perfect. And, you know, with that, I think we are just about out of time. So we definitely want to say thank you for coming in and shedding light on this topic. It's really important for people to know a lot of this information, especially if, you know, they are experiencing some form of abuse. So thank you for sharing their perspective and the resources which are available.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And with that, we are going to be taking a short break. And when we come back, we are going to be shifting gears and hearing all about sales from Caribbean Tires. So please stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
When something is good and you can save, that makes it even better. Like this guy, he buys Flex bundles using his promo credit. No worries when his primary credit is finished. He gets talk, text, and data for free. Or her, she calls her family internationally with her promo credit. And with data packages so affordable, she even does video calls. Smart continues to offer great deals and affordable promotions. As a small business owner, she saves when she uses her promo credit to call the other guys. All Smart customers enjoy more triple days and knowing they can use their promo credit, which just lasts longer. Smart, bringing people together.
If you are ailing due to a chronic disease and are left permanently invalid before retirement age, you may want to check if you qualify to receive invalidity benefit. The invalidity benefit exists for persons who are unable to continue working due to permanent illness. To qualify, you must be under 60 years old, must be sick for 26 consecutive weeks and certified to be medically unable to perform any type of work, must have at least 5 years of paid SSB contributions and at least 5 paid within the 3 months leading up to your illness. If you do not qualify for the invalidity pension, you may be eligible for the invalidity grant. Want to know more about invalidity benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Morning, B. Ready for full lay box? Yes, ma'am. Just grab the rope and I will put down the camera. My name is Josh Marin. I'm a commercial fisherman out of San Pedro and I've been fishing my whole life. We've been noticing that each and every time we go out, we have to find further grounds. So when I heard about the program, I found it as a very good business opportunity. Other fishermen, when they go out, they tend to bring in everything and anything, and that's what me and my crew don't do. We practice responsible fishing.
Just show me how the app works, G.
Easy thing, bro. All we gotta do is we're gonna put in how much fish we catch right here. Today we get 15 pounds of champagne and 30 pounds of queens. We have punch that in and that's all. Oh, one more thing.
It's almost time when we change the drums for the Christmas bells. And you know that when Christmas season starts, we celebrate big at Channel 5. How big? It's our 30th anniversary. That's right, the Big 3-0. And this year's Gimme 5 will be packed with fun, entertainment, and big giveaways. The show starts on December 6th and runs through December 10th, starting at 7:30 p.m. nightly. Coupons are now available for 25 cents each on our Channel 5 website and at our studios on Coney Drive. Fill out your coupons and bring them into our compound. And remember, starting December 6th, when the phone rings, don't say hello, say, "Gimme 5."
And we're back. And if you are joining us right now, we're getting our second conversation for this morning started. And we are joined by representatives from Caribbean Tires, and they're going to be telling us all about their Gold Rush sales, which are going to be going on for the next couple of weekends. And joining us in our studio, we have Judy Paris, who is a sales and marketing coordinator from Caribbean Tires, as well as Kelvin Aguilar, who is a sales representative. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And thanks for joining us. It's certainly an exciting sale to talk about. Why don't we start by telling our viewers just a little bit about about Caribbean Tires and why it's Gold Rush and what the Gold Rush sales are all about.
Sure. Pleasant good morning to our viewers. Caribbean Tire has been in existence for about 30 years. And throughout those years, it's about 15 to 18 years that we have been giving back to our community and countrywide pertaining to our discounts and sales. So we had started the Gold Rush sales within the month of November, October, November, throughout all of our branches for all of these years. So this year, definitely we continue to do the promotions of what we always offer. Due to COVID, usually it was only one day per branch, but due to COVID, we have decided to, go by with the protocols and everything for us to give customers more time to come into our branches for these sales. So we decided to do it 2 days instead of 1 day. So we had already started this off in early October. We had started off with our branch in PG. We did it already in Santa Elena, in Corozal, in Orange Walk, and last weekend was in Spanish Lookout. So this weekend, we will be in Belmopan branch, which is the 26th and 27th. Next weekend, which would be the 3rd and 4th of December, we will be at Belize City branch. And the 10th and 11th will be our new branch, Dan Grigga. So we're heading that side as well. So that would be the final of our Gold Rush sales.
Before we jump a little bit into the Dan Grigga branch and the exciting things happening there, if you would speak to the promotion and what is offered in this promotion.
Okay. Good morning, guys. Well, there's a lot to give back to the community. Every year, we all wait for the sales, including some of us that work with Caribbean Tires. Because you could get good promotions, like back by popular demand is the Hankook. Buy 3 get 1 free. So you buy 3, you purchase 3 tires, and then the 4th one is free of cost.
Yeah.
And the good thing with the Hankook is that it carries along repair service as well for the lifetime of the tire. And if we can repair it, you just come to our branches, and then we repair it free of cost. So apart from getting that 1 tire free, you also get a free repair service with the Hankook brand, right? So the other brands like Laufen, Triangle, and Roadmaster, they have 17% discount. And those will also, we are also offering those. The Laufen is derived from the Hankook brand, so it's a very, very good tire as well. And then all the other brands of tires like the Goodyear, the Michelin, Bridgestone, BF Goodrich, Firestone, all those other brands, they carry 14% discount.
Wow.
Okay, so everything is on discount in the stores.
Everything. So we're not only talking about tires.
No.
Not only tires.
Okay.
We also have lubricants and discount. Valvoline and Magwan Optimus, they have 20% discount. All right. And then the Inco, we have 20% discount as well. Other selected items will be on discount, anywhere from 20 to about 50% discount. So we have selected items on those discounts as well. We also carry Honda motorcycles. Those are on 17% discount.
Wow.
All right. So, it's a lot.
Yeah. That's crazy.
We could sit here and talk about it all day,
And if it's one thing Belizeans love, it's a good sale.
That's right.
I think if you put some free cookies at the front door, you might even get a bigger rush for this Gold Rush.
Well, we have definitely.
Oh my!
We have with for all of our purchasing customers.
Yeah.
They have they will be eating free hot dogs at all of these branches, and it's on both days. So once you purchase from us, you have that opportunity to go and eat our free hot dogs. And beside that as well, We have raffles that we have been doing at all the other branches, and it's the same coming to these other branches. We have 3 prizes, whereas the first prize, you can win one of our Honley motorcycle. The second prize would be one of our Inco weed eater, and the third prize will be our assortment of our Flamingo products. So for our customers that are purchasing, every $50 spent, they get a chance to win.
So this happens on weekends, right?
Yes,
this
Friday.
weekend will be in
Belmopan.
I might just need to go to the Belmopan branch this weekend to buy an air freshener for my vehicle because I want a hot dog.
But you definitely, when you see so many different items of what we have and the unbelievable prices of what we have them on, you definitely will be picking up things that you say, hey, you know what, I might need this, or you think about a gift. There is assortment of different items even for the ladies. You know, Caribbean Tire has been catered a lot to mostly male comes, but of course there's female as well that has their vehicle that they come in for purchasing of tires, batteries, lubricants, whatever, you know. But we will be having assortment, different, you know, containers, different items that the female, of course, that they can, you know, take a look at as well and purchase.
I could imagine that there are some items that you may have been putting off buying for the year that you need for whatever reason. Sometimes maybe because the finances is not there, or you don't like the price that it is at that time. But you may step into the store this weekend and go for a windshield wiper, for example, and look and say, wait, but there's that thing that I've been wanting, and now it's at a different price. I need to snap this up real quick because somebody else might take it from me. What has been the reception like from Belizeans as it relates to these sales?
Oh, wow. It has been awesome. And of course, we really need to thank all of our customers that has been supporting us throughout the years and that has always been looking forward for these sales. It was awesome at every one of these sales. We had run out of some of our Inca products as well because those went like we say, Belizeans like to say hot Johnny cakes. We had those along with our Inco weed eaters. Majority of all of our Inco tools, Inco weed eaters that we brought in is finished until when we get in new stock.
Wow, that's almost
here. And we should be getting the new container coming in. And for our viewers or our customers to know, all of these products that we have on sale are what we brought in, the containers that what comes in.
Oh, look at that.
And, you know, so if our customers do not know if they need to change the tires, they definitely can come into any one of our branch. We do free inspections. So we can definitely let you know you need to change the tires, you don't need to change them. And we can definitely get we can give you price codes as to, so you know what monies you might need if you need to change your tires, or you need to change a battery, or you need to do an oil change. We do free oil changes as well at every one of our branches. And, you know, with the discounts of what we're offering this weekend and the other weekends, 20% off on our lubricants, you can definitely purchase the lubricants, and at a later time, you could come back and do your free oil change.
You know, I'm looking at the screen, and I've been looking at it, and it appears as if there's so many wonderful gift items that people can purchase. It's like getting a step ahead of that Christmas shopping.
That's right.
For your dad, maybe for a brother, maybe for a mechanic in the family. For anyone, you say
that's
you have
right.
women,
That's right.
Women.
And there are women as well that need these tools, these pliers. We have some drill sets. We have assortment of so many tools. We even have for the construction, sites. We have boots. We have helmets. We have, there's a wide variety of items of what we have. So in order for you to, you just got to come out and see the great deals of what we're offering.
For sure, and one of the things that's exciting, which we mentioned earlier, of course, is that we have this week in Belmopan, next week Belize City, and then you're opening a new branch in Dandriga.
That's right.
So talk to us a little bit about the launch of the new site and what this means to bring new service down south.
Well, working at Caribbean Tire for many years, we have always been listening to our customers. Our customers has always brought to our attention, whatever district that they are, when are you coming to our town? When are you coming? So throughout the years, our directors has been listening to them, and it's been quite a few years that they have been asking us, when we will be in Dangrigga. So now the time is here now that our directors decided for us to be down at Dangrigga. So the construction has been underway, ongoing, and it should be ready, and it will be ready actually for the 10th and 11th of Dangrigga. So at the 10th and 11th of December. So we're sure that the customers down there would be excited to come on that side, and I'm sure that the surrounding villages will be coming that side as well, and we're looking forward to serve them. And all the products and services of what we offer at every one of our branches will be the same in Dangrigga. Prices as well will be the same as if you purchase in Belize City, Corozal, Spanish Lookout, Santa Elena, wherever you purchase, all of our prices are always the same.
But of course, on that day of the opening, it's a sale.
Yeah, that's right.
So you get a lot of discounts.
That's right.
On different things for you to purchase.
And one of the things that we got to remind our customers are that if the sale is happening this weekend at Belmopan branch, it's only at Belmopan branch that you'll be offered those discounts. So you will not be able to come to Belize City or Corozal and say, can I get that discount? No. And it's only on cash purchases, you know. So that we need to remind our customers of that, you know.
That's right.
All right. Well, any final thoughts, parting words? Maybe you could remind us again of the different dates and some of the discounts.
Well, of course, we're excited to give away all of these discounts, you know. And as I mentioned earlier, throughout the years, we have been listening to our customers, and they always ask us, when are we going to have these deals? From before, throughout the years that we have been offering these deals with our Gold Rush sales, customers started calling from September, and they want to know when is the date, when, you know, but this behind the scenes takes a lot of planning. And of course, we really want to thank our staff, our directors, to putting this together for our customers and having everything prepared. So whenever a customer comes in, everything has on price, everything is out there, you know. So we really want to thank them. And of course, our customers for supporting us and always, you know, coming. So we definitely, with our buy 3, get 1 free on Hankook brand. It's only on the Hankook brand of tire, not the other brands. And 17% off on Laughlin brand of tire. Roadmaster and Triangle truck tires will be on 17% off. All other brands of tires will be on 14% off. Our Inco tools, 20% off. Our lubricants, 20% off. Our batteries, 14% off. Our car care products would be on 14% off. Everything in the store on great discount. We have assorted 20 to 50% off on some selected items.
Well, that sounds great, and we definitely hope that people take advantage of that. Yes. Now we are asking, and so far, has the response been great at all of your different branches?
Yes, it has been definitely. We're so excited and to see that the support, and within the 2 days that we don't have so much crowd coming out to the branches, that they, you know, that it's spread out, and all of our branches we have a wide, you know, a big yard, so everything is spread out. So we really want to encourage our customers to come on out and don't, you know, wear your mask. We have sanitizing stations as well where we have our hand sanitizers. So we want to encourage customers to please, you know, let's abide by the protocols and what we, you know, with pertaining to this COVID, you know. So we're really excited, and we have seen tremendous customer support coming out and taking advantage of these deals. That's why some of the items we're running out. You know, we're running out of some of them. Even with some of the Hankook tires, buy 3 get 1 free. The minute customers comes, they want that one because they're getting the 1 free. As you said, that everybody wants, you know, something free.
And in terms of opening hours,
the opening hours would be from 8 to 5. But of course, customers want to come early. We have noticed that customers has been at our branches from like 6:37 in the morning. They're already wait, and the early birds catches the most worm. You know, so we definitely want to encourage customers that if you want to come in early, definitely our staff are there from like 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. They're already there. You know?
So definitely go out early if you don't want to miss some of those great deals.
right.
But of course, Julia and Kelvin, thank you for coming
Thank
in,
you.
sharing to us all about these great deals. This weekend, the sale will be taking place in Belmopan, followed by next week in Belize City, and the grand opening of the Dangriga branch on
That's
the 10th of December.
That's right.
All right, so there it is, Caribbean Tires, and make sure you get out and take advantage of those gold rush sales if you can. But with that, we're going to be taking a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to be shifting gears and talking all about a Belizean-produced series. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
How can we support the emotional well-being of older adults during COVID-19? During the COVID-19 pandemic, and particularly while in quarantine, individuals, including older adults, may become more anxious, angry, stressed, agitated, or withdrawn, especially those who need healthcare assistance or have cognitive decline or dementia. Here are 4 strategies that can help you in supporting an older adult during this difficult time. 1. Communicate information and listen. Present with accurate, simple, and accessible information and facts about the COVID-19 outbreak, its progression, treatment, and effective strategies to prevent infection. Listen patiently to their needs and concerns. For older people with mild cognitive impairment or early stages of dementia, inform them of what is happening within their capacity and provide support to ease their anxiety and stress. 2. Promote positive mental and emotional health. Provide access to available mental health and psychosocial support services, also known as MHPSS services, for older adults and communicate when and how they can access them. Help older people keep regular routines and schedules as much as possible. You can also help them create new ones, including regular exercising, cleaning, daily chores, singing, painting, or other activities. Facilitate regular communication between older adults and their friends and families. 3. Help with medical needs. Make sure that older adults have at least up to 1 month of all the regular medicines that they may require. Explain how to use protective devices in a clear, concise way. Always be respectful and patient. 4. Assist with daily activities. Provide older people with details related to how and where they can get practical help if needed, like calling a taxi, dropping off supplies, having groceries delivered, and requesting medical care, as well as information on any locally available social support programs and services. For more information, consult the webpage of the Pan American Health Organization, www.paho.org/coronavirus.
With eCash, bill payment is extremely convenient, and all utility companies accept eCash payments. What's even better? You get to split bills with your roommates, siblings, or whoever you desire. Simply open your eCash app, go to Bill Pay, tap the respective utility company, enter the information, and pay the bill. Then tap the transaction made. Tap Split the bill. Select Evenly. Send the request to who you are splitting the bill with, and get notified when they pay. Talk about making life easy and avoiding confusion. You can split the bill for restaurants, grocery stores, and for any eCash payment you make. To find your next yummy meal, hair treatment, or chill spot, simply open the app and utilize the geolocation service to see nearby businesses that accept eCash. Geolocation and bill payment make life a whole lot easier.
Bringing people together has always been SMART's mission and passion. That is why we are proud to have built a locally independent quality network from the ground up that spans the country with over 100 sites. We continue to add more affordable mobile data packages, broadband speeds, and voice services to meet your personal and business needs. SMART has set the standard of true competition with the most competitive prices on all services offered. We invite and welcome you to join the SMART family, where the value for your dollar matters. SMART will continue bringing new technologies, more affordable prices, network expansions, and people together. SMART, bringing people together.
I am Glenda Brown. And I lost my husband, Henry Brown Sr., to COVID. He was a pastor and he loved the Lord. He got saved at age 16 and he did his best to walk with the Lord. When he was admitted, I said, well, it's good. He needed oxygen and that is going to move up and then, he's going to be back. But it didn't happen that way. Eventually, he got intubated and sedated. And that was the part when we realized, it is getting real worse. We don't know what is happening. We prayed with him. We spoke encouraging words, but we weren't getting a response. We hope he heard, but I don't know. I eventually reached hospital unplanned. I spent an overnight in there Monday. That night, because I was tested positive, the doctor allowed me to go and see Henry. And so it was so good to be able to go to his ward. I get to rub his head. But he was saying he didn't think Henry was going to make it. There were much prayers going out on his behalf. But I knew God's will was what was going to be done. I think for me that did a lot. Even now, to could remember that I was able to, touch him and see him those last moments, just the day before he passed. I just thank God for that opportunity. COVID is terrible once it comes to your home. It's something else because you have to quarantine. It's painful. All of a sudden, the connection within the family break down. When Henry passed, the children came and they came to my room. I have windows on both sides of the house, and so that was how we communicated. We spoke from there. Even the funeral arrangement and all these things had to be done. And I went out there to see the vehicle pass. I didn't know they would stop, but I'm glad they did. And so I made my way to the street side. I had COVID, so I knew I had to keep a certain distance from other people. To look at that casket in that vehicle and know that Henry is in there. I watched online. It was so hard. I mean, this is Henry. He's gone. He's not going to be back again. Henry hadn't been vaccinated. He didn't want to be vaccinated. I was told that he said to someone in the hospital while he was there that if he gets out or when he gets out, he was going to get vaccinated. I know it's not the only prevention. Washing your hands, doing the other thing, taking your meds does help. So there's a number of things to do, and I encourage people to do all of them. God does protect us, but we are also not to put God to the test. And so I encourage people to do what needs to be done. There's a lot of things I missed him, just not having him coming home again. It's a journey ahead that I am trusting God to take me through. I know He will.
Finish, boss.
You ready?
Yeah, don't tighten up the brakes, change the spark plugs. The man lady out, you need to bring it in for you tune up next week.
Good timing too. Susan just text say the pine way. Well, that's it.
Anything else in it?
No, man. Things slow bad. Maybe next week, Well, on. Hopefully next week pick up. Some extra 50 or stuff,
What? I hope things pick up with you next week. Like I could pay you this back.
What? Man, stop a fool. Go buy your daughter something nice for your birthday.
Do you remember my daughter's birthday?
Of course, man. I don't know, almost nearly Godfather. I got it right down for my calendar.
You got jokes. Anyway, later, boss.
Hey, sure. Why you like call me boss? You're not about 2 seconds older than me.
Respect, boss. Respect.
Go.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we are shifting gears and talking all about an exciting new Belizean series. You just saw a clip of it, and that is Countryman. And joining us to tell us all about this new series, we've got the director in our studio, and that's Tariq Young. And we also have an actor who you just saw on the screen, Tremette Perriott, starring in Countryman. Good morning, guys.
Morning. Thank you for having us here today.
Thank you for coming in. Super exciting topic to talk about. So let's just jump right into it and talk about what Countryman is. So Tariq, perhaps you can start.
Well, Countryman is a series that focuses on Gerald and Larry and their extended families and acquaintances that face a situation of changing environment in their village, in the town that they live in, and how these changes have impacted them directly, as well as how it's impacted their extended community, their families. It's a series that explores different ideas with the central theme being change and adaptation to change. But we also, through the series, explore concepts of the family structure, traditional roles of the family, how economic gentrification can impact a community and a nation, at a micro and a macro level.
What's the inspiration behind the writing? I understand it to be Belizean influence in terms of getting that Belizean tradition there.
We probably say that this is an authentically Belizean story. We want to mention that it's fully casted Belizean cast, fully produced Belizean production, fully financed Belizean production, and fully crewed Belizean production. The founder of Beeswood and our business partner Roy Turner, along with the other lead actor, Mr. Gilden Rowland, were the ones that initially conceptualized the short story of Countryman, about this mechanic who faces certain challenges because of the changing environment of his community. And from there, when we initially began the project in 2019, we saw that the potential and the relatability of this topic in the current situation then, decided to extend it to a longer story with the intention of it being a feature, and then it evolved to its current form of the miniseries. Wrote the screenplay as a story that's really about people, and the everyday person. And we believe that there's a story to be told from every Belizean experience, and our motto being bringing Belize to Hollywood, meaning that we get a chance to shape our own narrative, to tell the stories that are truly Belizean to the world. Where, previously we have experience where people, come in and they kind of dictate what the story is and their impressions of it. Well, we wanted to be able to create opportunity to tell our own story in our own voices.
Now, of course, we have one of the actors in the film with us by way of Mr. Perriott. Mr. Perriott, tell us, what's your role in the film and how excited is it for you to see this thing finally come to life?
Well, I mean, I'm the mechanic.
Yeah.
I am the guy that people don't like. It's for better, lack of better terms. No, my nieces don't like me now.
Oh, you mean outside of the film?
No, with the film.
Oh, yeah.
I love my nieces.
This thing is transitioning into your personal life now.
It's a wonderful movie. I'm glad to be a part of it. When Tariq had asked me this years ago, right? 2 years? 2 years?
At least 2.5 years.
I didn't even know what the character was about. I didn't even understand the concept of the entire movie and the purpose of it. He just asked me to do it. I'm like, yes, I'll be in there. And from what I've seen, just through the processes of being on set, right? The importance of identifying our Belizean issues, right? It is singularly very important for the development of the artist industry in our country. I find that we overlook these things and we allow, as Tariq said, people to come in and dictate how things should be, and it is contrary to what happens here. And this one, this one hits a nerve. And I think that when people start to pay attention to it, they'll be like, oh yes, that's true that. Oh yes, that's true that. Yes, man, they talk exactly. I see that happen.
The response has been overwhelmingly positive, and I think what's endearing to us is that people personalize it. People like.
But that's what you want to do. That's the whole point, right?
Truman plays a bit of the antagonist in the story. He's a little bit of our villain, and people generally don't like him. People that don't know him don't like him. Our lead character has been getting offers as if this was a documentary as opposed to a film, you know, which again speaks volume about the appreciation of the work and the audience that's out there for Belizean content. You know, and we are extremely grateful for everybody that's looked at it so far, and we are really hoping that people give it a chance, gravitate towards it, so that we can continue producing more of this content.
It's slices and slices of life that legitimately can happen, does happen in Belize. I'm a fan of all things Belizean, and I'm sure you guys are as well. And so to actually, I've read through the entire script countless times. The feel, and we've changed it. It's been changed so often, you know. So what you've read and what you're seeing, slightly depending on what's available to us, but the concept of it is something that I think people will internalize, right? Because these are things that are happening to them or around them, little microcosms of our little communal upbringings and stuff like that, little small places that we grew up in, not necessarily physically, but socially, harp on issues like this.
As an actor in the film, your honest perspective, honest opinion, how does it stack up against films in other parts of the region or the world, despite its uniqueness in terms of depicting the Belizean identity?
I see what you're asking. If we could match up against the international market, then I think we can. I think we can. Unfortunately, we don't necessarily, and I'm going to say, we don't have the budget like many of those mega production companies, even in other countries where they say small budgets, not really small budget.
A micro budget for SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild, their consideration for a micro budget is $100,000 US.
Well,
you know, that's considered micro. That's not low budget. That's not low budget starts at $1 million. You know, 500,000 to $1 million. So, you know, we're not playing with that kind of resources because our industry isn't necessarily developed to that level. You know, I like to say that we're in the infancy stage of the film industry in Belize. We're learning to walk. But we believe this kind of project, because it was very important to me as a director, producer, DP of this, that the quality and the standard is at the highest level. You know, my business partners, Roy Turner and Melissa Arnold, have made a conscious effort to invest and make the investments necessary so that we are competitive to that stage. Because bringing Belize to Hollywood means that our intention is global. It's not just for it to be a localized production or initiative in any way. Our onus is to grow the industry and to kind of help to elevate the standard of what kind of content can be produced in Belize. We missed a golden opportunity during the pandemic when people were glued to their screens and had to be, and were starved for content. What did we really, as a nation in the industry, have to offer, you know, to that standard? So I looked at that and I kind of took it personal, because I've been back home in Belize for since 2014, working with the industry, formerly the president of the Audiovisual Association, and working to kind of build the industry. And I felt that we were lagging behind. And when the opportunity came to work with my two business partners, Roy and Melissa, and they were willing to put money where the mouth is, to say like, well, let's do something. Let's start to create this content so that we can kind of help drive it forward and make this kind of thing available at the highest standard.
Let me just answer the question. Yes, I do think it is comparable with international films. And I think that we do have a unique market, as all things Belizeans, just like when Andy went and took the Garifuna Collective. We do have a unique market that is unlike any other, even in the Caribbean. These issues are directly Belizean and makes us unique.
It's also relatable
Yes.
across all cultures.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, it might not happen in places that don't have the diversity of culture, right? But they can relate in some aspect of it, especially the familial one. And I'm the familial, the Gerald and his wife one is going to get interesting in a minute. They don't tell her tired, yo.
I think he's like my Tom Holland for the Marvel series. I gotta watch from it that he doesn't give too many spoilers.
Yeah, right.
And I think, I suppose for you, especially as the director, executing what your vision for the movie must have also been, or what was it like to execute it, especially knowing that you want to transmit certain things and you want it to resonate with not only Belizeans but possibly also a larger audience. So how do you keep your vision focused and clear with what you have in mind?
For me, it starts, continues, and ends with story. The story is the master of this entire operation. So everything we do visually, everything we do technically, begins at the story. And we had a unique challenge in regards to the COVID pandemic and being able to continue production, because like everything else, we had to grind to a halt and figure out how we kind of continue to develop this story through the COVID situation. And what's important to me is that the representations are true. Being cognizant of mannerisms, of the vernacular used, the language used, the setting. Everything we wanted first when Belizeans first see it, they recognize, yeah, that's us, and then they're absorbed into the story.
Yeah.
Because if the story is strong but the visuals that accompany it are diminished, you don't get the full impact. And we want it to be an immersive experience, down to the point where the music is developed by an original Belizean producer, Sir Echo Middleton. The sound effects, everything, the minute details are very important to be true to the vision of what this represents. You know what I mean? So that process, with the addition of having to navigate COVID protocols, people's schedules, all that stuff, and not get kind of too absorbed into the process and remain true to what the original intention and vision of the project is, but still being open to evolve as the situation and circumstance dictates. Because like Tremet mentioned, when you plot something out in your head, you already envision this is what it's going to be, and then you get on set, and it's like, it's not quite exactly what it is, or this element's changed, but as long as I think that we're identifying where the story is going and the changes that we make still don't compromise that, we're able to execute the vision successfully.
You have
and
to
I
be
think
fluid.
Most definitely.
Have to be fluid.
And I was going to also ask you the same question. I think Paul kind of touched on it earlier, because when you read a script, then you would have an idea of your idea of what the character is, and then how to translate that onto screen, and what you identify with and what you want people to see as well.
You've read books, right?
Yes.
Have you seen the movies for those books?
Yes.
Different or the same?
Different.
For whatever reason, what you see on paper is the ideal dream. We wish if we could deliver, if mega movies, Lord of the Rings, Matrix, all of those large movies could deliver what was on that book, people would be blown away in movies. Unfortunately, certain things, constraints, reality kicks in, and it's difficult to do. And as an actor and as a performer and as a director, he is very fluid when it comes to adapting to situations, and that is good, because I've been in situations where people have trouble adapting to what we have, right? There's this saying, one of the major lines in 300, our arrows will blot out the sun and then we shall fight in the shade. He's good at that.
One of the things you made mention of earlier that I totally agree with and I love about the this particular series, because I did get an opportunity to watch the first episode, is that unique Belize identity that is depicted. I mean, when I first watched the series, I was like, wait, that Creole. I could relate to a lot of what they're saying. It it brought me a sense of joy, a sense of peace, a sense of identity, that belongs to me.
Yes.
That is a part of my identity. And if ever anybody asks me, what's a Belizean production that you would recommend to kind of get an idea into what the Belizean culture and traditions are like, I could say, hey, maybe you want to take a look at this because it's also a good story apart from all that you get to know and learn about Belize and Belizean culture. It's a discussion that we've had on this set before in terms of the importance of Belizeans or Belize presenting its own identity to the world versus outsiders making an attempt to show what Belize
from their own perspective
is like, and Belizeans are like from their own
First,
perspective.
I'd like to say thank you so much because that's the highest form of compliment we could ever aspire to get and receive. And for the responses like that is why we've done this. For Belizeans to be so proud of this work that they're willing to show it, they're willing to share it, that it's a true representation. So first of all, thank you so much for that. And you're hired for sales for this.
Sure.
You know, and as you're right, you know, having worked in the industry for so long, I've been a part of film in the U.S. since 2004. Whenever we see if you Google Belize right now, I always think about what are the things that are going to pop up. You know, what are the things that people are going to see and know about us? And unfortunately, a lot of the time it's in a negative space. So we wanted to be able to offer real insight on what the daily life, something that's gravitated towards people that they love, is the breakfast scene. You know, there are very quotable lines throughout the film, a lot of them coming from Tremet. You know, but seeing things like that, you know, you can't serve porta bonito cheese. That's something
that's frying pan me a ketchup like that.
But it's presented in such a way that even if you're not Belizean, you get the context, you get the understanding, you get the overall theme, and that's our goal for every scene. So working with the actors and working, you know, with them, getting their input in terms of how authentic is this, because I wrote the screenplay version of the film as well. But that's from my perspective too. So it's also important when we get on set working with the actors to get an understanding. Like one of the first things I always ask them, does this feel real to you? How does that feel? How does that feel to you? Do you see yourself saying that? Do you hear that being said around you?
Right.
You know, and I think that helps it to have that feeling of authenticity that we strive for.
And apart from showcasing Belizean culture, you know, in a general sense, what are some of the other themes or things that the story will expose that you hope that the viewers will take away, or maybe even lessons, you know?
Well, I believe the path of filmmaking gives a unique opportunity to present conversations that are oftentimes uncomfortable.
This one is very uncomfortable.
And there is potential for the themes explored in this to be divisive, because we talk about racial prejudices. We talk about the traditional family roles and dynamics of breadwinners in the home. We talk about the roles children play in terms of influencing, you know, the thoughts of the parents' actions. One of the things I could speak directly over, you know, that saying children are to be seen and not heard. We kind of, in our own way, take a direct conversation towards that. Our goal is to be, if this project at the end of the day can inspire conversation, we've done our job well. It's not necessarily to state a point exactly or to give an opinion one way or the other. It's presenting this real situation that deals with all of these things, like racial injustice, like economic gentrification, like you know, mental health. You know, all of these themes, loyalty, friendships, all of these relationships and themes are covered in this small, limited series. But and we encourage people to check it out and let us know if we've accomplished those goals, because that is the goal, for us to be able to touch on these things. And narrative film, gives a unique opportunity to be able to do that.
And you know, on that note, because we are actually running out of time, you can talk a little bit about how people can access it if they want to view it.
Well, the series is out now. Episode 1 and episode 2 are out on our YouTube channel. It's Beeswood. Just search Beeswood on YouTube, BZEWOOD.
Cameraman, see it there?
Right there on your shirt. And you will be able to access episode 1 and 2. It was very important to us to make this also accessible, so that's why we've taken the route of putting it on YouTube so that you can share, you can like it. We're on Facebook, all social media as Beeswood. So Instagram, Facebook, beeswood@gmail.com. You know, we have more projects coming down the pipeline. This is just the first of the projects. We have a feature film slated to begin shooting next year called Culture Clash. We have other series, we have documentary projects that we're working on. So this is really the first to introduce the level and quality of our work and the intention behind our work to the world. So I really encourage all Belizeans, all viewers, open your eyes, to go check it out, to look up Beeswood on YouTube, and you can see Countryman, and we're excited to hear what you think. You know,
have you heard any responses so far?
Oh yes, very much so. Like I said, our gentleman here is.
Joe, if you see me on the street, please. After you've watched this, please. No, it's just acting.
And it doesn't get better for the ones that have tuned in already and have been up to episode 2. It doesn't really get better for Larry.
No.
You know, but people have been overwhelmingly receptive to it. Compliments, just like your co-host just gave to us. You know, that's kind of been what the response has been. And the following that we've gained from it, you know, we're humbly at about 3,500 total viewership since its launch on the 19th. That's been largely organic. It hasn't been heavy promotion behind it. You know, that's been people sharing in the diaspora, people we've been told that it's reached to the shores of Nigeria, in the Caribbean, all across the US and in Belize. So we hope to be able to bring it to a larger audience as well. And through that kind of support, if people watch it, if people comment, if people share it, the way that we've structured in terms of our passive income and the different revenue streams, that's what helps us to be able to make more of this. Because we're still in the process of finalizing the last few episodes. The actors haven't even been allowed to see the end of the script yet until they get shooting day, you know, so we're still in production. We're still looking for partnerships to help bring these kinds of production as a continuous thing. Because I believe in terms of growing the industry, we can't be so dependent on waiting for a film to come in to do it. The way to create a sustainable industry is through consistent work, to gain that experience. The more you do, the better you get at it. So our approach is to do more of this kind of content. You know, and if you think Countryman is good, just wait till you see what we got coming down the pipeline.
You have a lot of scripts to be written.
Oh, too many. You know, my business partner Roy is our lead writer, and every time I talk to him, hey, I got 4 more story ideas.
Oh,
wow. I said, okay, Roy, let's do it. We'll get to it. So expect a lot coming from Beeswood down the pipeline, and look out for the next episodes coming out. I'm working very hard on making this one be a double feature. So, you know, bear with us. We appreciate everybody in the fan base. You know, special thanks to Roy Turner and to Melissa Arnold, who are our executive producers and co-owners of Beeswood. I want to give thanks to all the cast and the crew. You know, especially the crew behind the scenes and the cast. It's been since 2019. Through different SIs, through different curfews, through everything that we've stuck together as a unit in the family to make this come to light for the Belizean people to enjoy.
Well, you know, guys, thanks again for coming in. That's I think, a great place to end the conversation for this morning.
Thank you for having us.
So once again, that is Countryman. It's available on the Beeswood YouTube channel. Yes. You can also look up Beeswood on all forms of social media if you want to learn more about this and other upcoming projects. And we hope, we wish you the best of luck with the release of the other episodes and future projects.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, gentlemen. You guys have a wonderful day.
All right.
Thank you, Belize.
And with that, we're going to be taking a short break. And when we come back, we'll be wrapping up our show. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call on-net, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
For the past 30 years, countries around the world have used the observance of 16 days of activism to raise awareness about gender-based violence, challenge discriminatory attitudes that perpetuate its proliferation, and call for improved laws and services. This international campaign is an annual call to end this form of violence, which most often affects women and girls disproportionately. 30 years ago, the campaign was designed to reaffirm, highlight, and refocus the work that was already being carried out by advocates around the world, including Belize. Its priority was to use it as a tool for the global response to gender-based violence, which had at the center the need to bring out the root causes of gender-based violence. That is, power imbalances and gender inequality. It is extremely important that during this period, countries take the time to reflect and be more survivor-centered when designing support systems, including empowerment strategies. In Belize, like many countries around the world, we recognize that effective action requires not only responding to incidents of gender-based violence and working to prevent individual instances, but also building a culture based on principles and values that challenge the causes of gender-based violence and discrimination. We recognize that human rights should be the set of values that inform our daily lives and establish the minimum standards for full equality and a life of dignity. Every person in Belize should be aware how gender-based violence continues to be the most pervasive form of human rights violations, which prevent persons, especially women and girls, from reaching their full potential and dignified lives free from fear. Every year, Belizeans across the country have an opportunity to experience and witness multiple interventions being implemented as part of the 16 Days of Activism. What 16 Days of Activism does is to shine the spotlight on efforts to build your awareness on the issue and asking your participation in the work that needs to be implemented. This year's theme is You and Me, from 16 days to 365 days. End violence against women now. It is a direct invitation to every single Belizean, every single organization to join the campaign. You may question, why does this matter? Well, violence encompasses many forms such as domestic violence, rape, sexual harassment, and human trafficking, which unfortunately seem to be increasing. Working and speaking out against gender-based violence is not something new. It's something that we do every day at the Ministry of Human Development, Families, and Indigenous Peoples Affairs, as well as all our partners. All of us must see it as our responsibility to identify ways to become involved, because I am sure that you know someone who has experienced one of these forms of gender-based violence. The theme is therefore a call to action, to join efforts and to change attitudes that perpetuate, rationalize, and normalize violence, particularly against women and girls. To see gender-based violence truly eliminated, our attitudes need to change and our behaviors need to shift. We all must understand what gender equality means for all of us. This work is a year-long, hence the 365 days, and it needs everyone. Therefore, please join our special envoy, Mrs. Rosana Briceño, our Minister of State, Honorable Elvia Vega Samos, myself, and all our staff and partners in observing the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Also for the next 16 days, and finally, all year long. I thank you very much.
Is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV, entertainment, anytime, anywhere.
The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
And we are back, and if you're joining us right now, we're just getting our show wrapped up after a bunch of interesting conversations this morning. We want to say thank you to all of our guests. We started off this morning by having a very important conversation about domestic violence and abusive relationships. And important to underscore that there are resources for those who want to leave if you are in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, our lineup of experts in this field definitely gave us some insightful information, and hopefully for those out there that may have been watching us and are facing any type of these situations or know family members, hopefully they were equipped, because I think that was the intention with the information, to better be able to address that situation. In our second conversation, of course, we switched gears a whole lot, no pun intended. Caribbean Tires,
Yep.
Talking about motor vehicles and all the different products they have on sale in their Gold Rush sale. Just a reminder that this weekend they'll be in Belmopan, their Belmopan branch, next weekend in Belize City, and the following week they'll be in Dangriga for the sale and for the grand opening of their Dangriga branch. It's not only about tires, but you could also get discounts on a variety of items. In fact, all items in the store, there's some sort of discount.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So you got to go to Caribbean Tires if you are want to take advantage of some of those sales. And finally, we want to say thank you to both Tariq and Tremet, the director and one of the stars of Countryman, which is one of Beeswood's, or is their newest production. It's a series that is currently live on YouTube. You can already watch the first 2 episodes on Beeswood's YouTube channel.
Page, yeah.
It's pretty great. It is completely Belizean from the writing, direction, production, actors, everything is great. So you definitely want to check that out. And if you're watching the segment, we can also expect a lot more from Beeswood Studios as well. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, well, that does it for our show, Gavin.
Yep, that's it for today. But if you want to contact us, you can send us an email at oie@channel5belize.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and Instagram at OIEBelize. But that's all for now until tomorrow morning when you tune in and open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
But until then, you better keep your eyes, your ears, and your
heart open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.